I was on the radio today. Was anybody listening to 94.9? It was so fun to be back, but it's really great to be here too.
Anya Marina has traded in her radio mic for a stage mic. She left her job as a 94.9 DJ to pursue her passion for singing and songwriting full-time. But she'll never forget who gave her her start and the confidence to chase her dreams.
I had read this article in Rolling Stone magazine, and it was titled 10 Radio Stations That Don't Suck. And so I'm reading about this guy who has a station in San Diego. So I sent him my college radio air check tape. He paged me. That's how long we've known each other. And he was like, hey, it's Michael Halloran. I got your tape. One side sucks. The other side's all right. Call me. And I was thrilled. And I moved down here like 3 weeks later.
From there, they moved on to 5 different stations together, finally ending up at 94.9.
He won't leave me alone. I can't get rid of him. It's a mutual admiration society. I don't know, right when we met, it was like, he was like my big brother, and he just helped me in so many ways and was always a real champion of me, and I don't know why.
Even when Anya doubted herself as a singer-songwriter, Mike's been there to encourage her.
Don't ever forget that you've got talent. You've got that guitar in your apartment, and you need to start writing songs and get to Java Joe's and do some open mic nights, and you're gonna be a star.
And now she's on her way. She signed a record deal and is touring the country to share the talents Mike always knew she had.
You ought to hear the mirror in my...
Her song, Miss Halfway, was even featured in the hit TV show Grey's Anatomy.
And he always had a lot of confidence in me, and that means a lot to a person when they don't really know what's up or down. I think he really enjoys seeing people succeed, and he knows a lot of people, and they all love him. So I've been the lucky recipient of that.
First trip to San Diego. You get asked by sort of an unsavory character that you knew to drive a car out.
Well, at the time, unsavory would have not come into my vocabulary because he was actually a friend of mine, and he needed his car brought out to San Diego. And the thing that scared me the most about it was, and I was very, forward with him about this, I knew he'd done jail time. I knew he'd done jail time for selling illegal substances, but he basically wanted his car delivered out to San Diego. And I had, was out of a job at that point. I thought maybe I can apply for a job at this 91X place that I'd heard so much about and actually met the program director years ago. And I just said, please just don't have any illegal substance in the car, because if I get pulled over, I don't want to go to jail. And he goes, don't worry, there'll be nothing in the car. And he basically put a bunch of his computer boxes in there and wrapped everything up, and I got in the car and drove all the way out here with probably, back in those days, maybe 40 bucks in my pocket. Mm-hmm. And I thought, if I make it this far, maybe they'll hire me, at 91X. And this is 80, they'd just been on the air for about a year and a half, I think. So it was like the end of 84. Mm-hmm. They went on the air in January 83. So they were on the air for about 2 years, and I came out and made arrangements to meet the program director. And he said, sure, I can give you 4 hours a week. You can work on the weekends. And I thought, okay. I said, how much an hour is? And he says, it's 10 bucks an hour. And I thought, yeah, I don't know if I can survive on that. I had a plane ticket to go back to Detroit. It was nice meeting him. I'd met him at a new music seminar before that. And I thought, this would be kind of cool. Maybe I'll come back out here later. So I went back to Detroit, got another job at a rock station at this time, playing music they didn't want to play. Bad bands like Y&T and bad Eric Clapton records that just, drove me crazy after a while. And then got another job in Detroit, which I ended up getting fired from yet again. Getting fired from a lot of jobs at that point. And then 92X hired me full-time in 86. So I came out here about 2.5 years after I'd first met with them. Yeah. They finally had an opening. And our friend, our mutual friend Fred Jacobs, who had suggested us, me to Max in the first place, said, give this guy a break. So he gave me a break. 86, it was probably the biggest break of my life at that point, because I'd done tons of radio. I knew how to do it at that point, but I'd never really had a chance to do it in a market that had actually had an alternative station on the air at that point for 3 years, almost 3.5 years. 91X had been on the air at that point. So I came out and started working here.
You're in San Diego. You don't know what this place is about, except that it has an alternative radio station on the air that's really doing quite well. I mean, it hit pretty hard here.
At the time, unstoppable.
Yeah.
When I first arrived here, I had no idea how big 91X was until I was crossing that border every night. And I, would drive down to Mexico, cross the border, go on the air after Oz was on the air, play music for 4 hours, drive back across the border and watch, Oingo Boingo shows selling out at huge, huge places. We did, Mex Fest across the border. I mean, there was so many, it was unstoppable.
Tell me about that work environment, because this is part of the broadcast history, radio and television, of San Diego that some people remember, but not a lot of people remember. Is that if you had a Tijuana stick, a Mexican stick in those days, radio or television, you couldn't broadcast in the U.S. You couldn't
Correct.
actually.
Back in those days, yeah, they changed the rules somewhere around 91, maybe 91, 92. But originally, we would drive, every single disc jockey used to drive across the border to do our show live. Cross that border 6 days a week for many, many years. And
Drive up to the transmitter.
Drive up to the transmitter, little bunker in essence with a huge, this transmitter in the other room is, approximately 100,000 watts. I mean, the only thing I can, if anything ever happens to me, if my brain ever, freaks out like some people say it already has, it's because I was working next to that transmitter for all those years.